GM. GM. So, in terms of trades, Bitcoin had that immediate continuation. So, I talked about these couple of paths this morning on daily levels. I talked about them as well yesterday when we were where? Where were we yesterday? Monday morning. We were around here. Yeah, we pushed up into the July point of control, the March to July point of control, which is also around the monthly open. Monthly open level over here, which I think have I got it on? Yeah, there we go. With the top G indicator. So we got July's monthly open. So we flipping July back to green, which, by the way, when you go to the monthly chart, it's looking pretty G. Almost got a bands retest. But all the way back in we go. You've got July's open. You've got the point of control. I want to see, and I would like to see, the value area low get retested. So that's, to me, that's the perfect place to get long. So that's one thing I'm waiting for down there. If we get a retest there, and I'm going to be patient because I expect that what will happen here is price will try to go higher. So it'll come up here, it will try to go higher. If that rejects, it will probably then give us the move down into that area, right? So I think we'll try to go higher once more. If it breaks clean, and you see a consolidation, you see an impulse breakout, I will then trade the continuation from up here. So my two areas to trade are after the breakout or over here, if we get the value area low retest. Those are my two levels to watch. I would not short. So I talked yesterday about the potential to short down into the value area low from up here. I wouldn't do that now because your short triggers, when you're above the monthly open, when you're above the old POC, it's not good to short down into that. So even from up here, like if we reject it off there and we came to this around that point, I wouldn't short that. Again, you're shorting into strength. You're shorting back down into the monthly open. You're shorting into the point of control and you're trying to target a level that's below that. I wouldn't do that. You can see already how price reacts when it comes into that area. I would be much more inclined to look at longs only. If we hadn't saw this, right? If yesterday we had done this down and we're chopping around there, absolutely short it down because that's the monthly open acting as resistance, but it's acting now as support. And you should assume that it will continue to act as support. And I think that any dip below it that we can get later on will just be to flush out people who basically are getting long right now and putting their stops in this little area here. I'm also prepared, as I think with this path, I think that might get left. You know, these are these breakaway gaps. That's a breakaway gap that probably gets left behind. Let me check on the impulse candle checker. This is another thing. Yeah, impulse candle. There we go. What was it like in the 4 hour? I was telling my blue belts. Oh, look at that. I was telling my blue belts about this. It's an indicator I've made. To define what an impulse candle is. And it's going to be available for blue belts and above. So everyone in boot camp who is at blue belt level or above will really get this indicator. And what it does is it colors in candles that meet a certain criteria for what a proper impulse candle would look like. So anyway, just a sneak preview. A couple different indicators to drop for you. The monthly open one will be available for everyone who has the committed students role, but that one will specifically be for bootcamp students. Reason for that is impulses and specifically the trending methods are taught in bootcamp, and I get a lot of requests from students about how to define and how to make it objective. How can I test and make an objective rule for what an impulse candle is? Hence that indicator. So that's where I'm at. I think we're not even going to see a pullback. I think we're probably going to see more continuation, at least to this point. So it's at that point there, which is the red circle. It's at that point that we'll know, or at least I'll know for my own systems, whether I'm going to have to trade continuation, just ride the trend, or if we're finally going to get this pullback. I think we do, by the way. We get that pullback no matter what. The question just becomes where from, right? So right now we're here. Are we going to see that and then up? Or we're going to see some kind of continuation first, you go much higher, and then eventually you come back down to all of that later on. Like, that's the expectation for what I could see, right? Because when you have these kind of breakaway trends, they can run and run and run and run until people truly get, FOMO'd right in and then sell off again. This, once it starts tagging stops on the way up, like, this could just keep going. I mean, people will fade it. They will try to short this. They'll get squeezed out. It could just run and run and run. It could even run all the way to those highs. 72 is where that liquidity is. Like, there's stops up there from every short that came on the way down that has not been stopped out yet. It could run all the way there. And it could run all the way there before a pullback. But if you have patience, these levels, especially, like, the bottom is in my opinion, and not my opinion, my systems, right? The moves I've seen, the structure breaks, the trend shifts would tell me the bottom's in. But this area, this kind of 60 to 62, can absolutely get revisited. Don't forget about it, right? This is what I would really strongly urge. Don't forget that area exists, because we probably will go higher first, and people will forget that it could even go back to there. And they'll start to try and convince themselves to buy at 71 or 70, buying at the absolute worst point, and then it drops back, and you get that retest, and it just requires patience, right? So this is something that can catch traders out. It certainly caught me out when I started trading. I would look at something like this and be, oh, there's a gap, there's an inefficiency, there's an order block, it needs to retest. And then when it went higher, I would forget about that. I'd be like, oh, well, I guess since we're at 70 now it means we're even more bullish. No, we can and probably will come all the way back, right? Just like even many of these moves. You had your impulse move off the lows, right? And then you had a lengthy consolidation. Then you had an impulse here and an impulse there. And they both filled in before we moved on. Every now and then you'll get a move like this, which doesn't pull back. But that's the exception, not the rule. Right? The exception. I wouldn't use the exception in this case. Bitcoin, I think, there's nothing bearish. There's very, very, very little to be bearish about here. We're seeing our first trend shift for several weeks. And so it's time to just ride it. Your monthly open acts as a pretty decent bull bear line on the lower time frames. And then with patience, waiting for one of these two setups. So that's my trade of the day. It's almost certainly not going to be today, right? In fact, looking at day trading, I think that we don't have any major events. What is it? It's Tuesday. We don't have anything major happening on the calendar today. We've filled in an inefficiency just here, right? So price on the low time frames had that little breakdown there. We've just filled in that gap. We have left behind an area here. The way I would expect to see this moving is something like that. It pushes up and then comes all the way back down. Like, that would be the kind of move. Back down to all of this will fill in, but probably first it goes up to fill in some of that upside. If it's not able to get above this area, that's where you'd expect to see a rejection. So I would look at that as kind of my day trading bias. If it starts to fall back down below here, right, if price starts to move there, well, then we're going back to the lows, and we're probably going to build a base around there. And if not, I think that it's going to hold quite easily here and push further up. And then from there, it'll come back and fill in a lot of this. I think today is very, very likely to be a setup and mean reversion, where I don't think we take that high. I don't think we take that low. I think we might make a lower high and a higher low, right, to move into more of a compression type of consolidation. That would be my expectation, because when you have, and I've seen this through the data, when you have these days, several days of trending in a row, your next day is likely to be green. So we did this study as part of the one of the challenges. What happens when Bitcoin has 5 green days in a row? We had 1, 2, 3, 4. We have not had the 5th yet, and I don't think we're going to get the 5th. That's important, because when you have 5 green days in a row, the 6th day is disproportionately more likely to be green, indicating a strong trend. So I don't think we're going to get that. I'm pretty sure today will close like roughly where it is now, close red. And the reason being, we have this super strong, nice, lengthy trend for Friday's green, Saturday's green, Sunday's green, Monday's green, and it's just up, 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 no pullbacks. And then now people are looking for big moves in either direction, and I don't think we get them. I don't think we see a big move down. I don't think we see a big move up. I'm pretty sure that we chop around in this area here. And if I was day trading it, I would not trade right here, because you've filled one inefficiency and you can easily pull back. Shorts don't offer really much great opportunity, because you got the monthly open below you. So shorting into the monthly open doesn't make sense. And getting long here doesn't make sense either, because where do you put your invalidation? You have to put it down to lows. So like, you could long, but I mean, really, you could use a very tight stop, which can easily get wicked. Or where? Here? Sure. And then your target is that. So the RR, the risk reward, is not great here. But if we move up into this top end towards the daily open, which is the dotted gray line, up in that area here, that would be mean reversion to lows. So it'd be like moving up there. If it moves up without any significant pullback, I think it will fill all the way back in. And we're going to see one of these choppy markets for a few days. So that's it. GM, bit of a higher time frame, couple of trades, and lower time frame GM, 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 GM.